Welcome, explorers. It's been a minute. This July marks the 7th anniversary of me winning my fight with cancer and my remarkable RV trip across the country, off-grid, took the GeoPro into some amazing places that I would never want to try again, only because of ignorance that I even attempted it. But I thank you for all of your support and all of your love and all of your blessings that you have supported me throughout the years. I'm going to give you a little preview right now, and then starting this July, I'd like to do a weekly podcast with you, and I'll take you through our whole trip. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you again. This is going to be amazing. See you soon.
I'm going to count you in like
Okay.
we're doing a real recording.
A real one? Okay.
Okay. And then, Jason, you're going to have to do your, you should be listening to the thing.
Okay,
Abby,
okay.
And then you can both take off the things as it happens. This will be the intro music. This is the intro title.
It's like National Lampoon's Vacation.
So great.
Okay, and we're going live in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hi, Jason.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome to my cabin on top of South Beach.
I love it. I love it so much.
Right? So, what do you want to talk about today? You're talking about interior design?
Well, I mean, really, I wanted to hear more about what your true podcast is about, the heart and soul of it, because I've heard that you've, did a little RVing.
Yeah. I actually lived off-grid for almost 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you just went for a year.
I was completely remote. The first 365 days, I only plugged into power 10 days out of those 365 days.
Wow.
Did you pay for that power?
That power we did pay for.
Okay.
So that power we did pay for. We had to, 7 of those days were out in the Pacific Northwest, where we were in a big rainstorm. The whole area was in a rainstorm, and our power supply was solar. And so,
there was nothing you could do really.
Yeah. So ended up finding a campground and just like hunkering down for a week and
Waiting it out.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So,
And Amber, you need to describe your hatred of camping.
For RV, yeah, I do have I don't like RVing or camping. That would not be me. But I think it's just an interesting, because was it kind of like an eat, pray, love moment for you?
yeah. Well,
In some ways?
yeah. Not to go too deep into the background of
okay.
it, but I had stage 4 cancer, and so that's like a whole nother story.
Yep.
But I had stage 4 cancer that I was doing really well with the recovery using only natural medicine. And I was actually given 6 months to live. And so I decided I was just going to go out and travel.
Like, fuck it, let's
yeah.
see the U.S.
Yeah, because I was given 6 months to live if I did chemotherapy, and I chose not to do chemotherapy at all.
Wow.
And so I was just going to go live my best life, and partnered up with Rockwood GeoPro, and got a really good deal on. It was actually their prototype camper, and number 1 off the assembly line. And part of the agreement was I was going to do solar testing for them, field testing, take it through different things and report back every week with the data and everything. Offered to do solar testing, and what really sold him is I said, well, I'm going to do it anyway.
Right.
I'm going out there anyway.
Yeah.
I can either go out there with your equipment and report back to you and give you real live testing that's going to be valuable.
Yeah.
And that first year, we gave them lots of testing that they actually made design changes the following years based on that. So that was kind of cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And then did you actually were there things, so like, all of this in hindsight, thinking at the time that you had only about 6 months.
Yeah.
Did you plan a route? Like, were there places that you definitely wanted to see and you planned your route accordingly? Or did you just feel like, look, fuck it. Today I want to go here. Tomorrow, I don't know.
100% fuck it.
Really?
Yeah. The entire time until we got to the California coast, we didn't have a single reservation anywhere. We would just go a direction and find a place that looked cool and stop. And in places that we thought that were going to be really cool, turned out just to be okay. And places that were like new and hidden turned out to be someplace that we might stay for 4 or 5 days.
A while.
And
so is it kind of like anything else? There's like this hidden community that did you discover kind of a hidden community and like a real sense of a connection with other travelers? And
yeah, for sure.
Helping each other out. And
Yeah. For the most part, they were all, not just the travelers, but people in general were very, supportive and helpful and encouraging and friendly. Most people were on vacation, but there were some full-time travelers that were out and tell stories and sit around campfires and share food and share recipes and stuff like that. And
that's so cool.
Campfire stories, sitting around with campfire stories. That was probably some of the best memories, along with like some of the sights we saw. But yeah.
And did you have a favorite place after kind of going around America? Or many favorite places. I mean, I'm sure there's not, you can't
places,
just pick
but,
one.
But one that surprises people is Vermont is probably some of the most beautiful scenery and the nicest people out of the entire United States.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think Vermont's so interesting. I look at land there a lot because I think it's kind of this sort of undiscovered, you don't hear much about it. It's not like it's a place in the news. It's certainly not a tourist destination.
Right.
And that interests me, places like that where it's...
Yeah. And it is a lot like that. I mean, we did yoga in a yurt hut on some mountainside, you know what I mean? It's like that was only like, 40 minutes from Burlington.
Amazing.
So
wow.
And getting to Vermont was interesting. We were traveling and we were following Google Maps, and we ended up in Plattsburgh, New York, at a ferry stop at about, I don't know, close to sunset.
Really?
And we're like, the only other way was to go back or go through Canada or take the ferry. And I thought it was going to be like a fortune to take. I mean, we were pulling the travel trailer.
Oh, okay.
So I thought it was going to be hundreds of dollars to like pull this travel trailer across. And I think it was like $40
to take the ferry?
To take the ferry, with everything. So we took the ferry from Plattsburgh, New York, to Burlington, Vermont, and ended up in Burlington, Vermont, and just like amazing. Just
wow.
That's how we ended up in Vermont, which was kind of cool.
That is really cool.
And then the places in Vermont going up north, like to Smuggler's Notch on the Canadian border, where they used to hide the Canadian whiskeys and stuff like that. And I said we were mostly off grid, so we would like just find a place, and we ran into this locals. They're actually very helpful. We tried to take our camper through a covered bridge.
Oh.
And we got down there and we couldn't turn around and we couldn't back up. And these locals came down and they're like, they actually climbed up in the rafters and they're like, I think 2 inches to the right, 2 inches to the left. I think you got it. And we like barely cleared this covered
that was
bridge.
Like going through the eye of a needle, basically. That's what you did.
Right.
Oh my God.
But the funniest thing, we got all the way to the top of this mountain. They're like, there's nobody up there, right? And so we got up there and started making dinner, and it's late. It's like 10 o'clock at night, and nobody. We didn't see anybody the whole time, and we followed them up there in a 4x4, and we had a Jeep, and we had off-road package, so we were way up on the mountain, and got up there and got about halfway through dinner and knock on the door. I'm like,
what the fuck?
It was the freaking park ranger. They're like, you can't be here. I'm like, Where did you even come from? Yeah, exactly. You know,
How did you see us? Are there hidden drones somewhere? Like,
So, but yeah, he didn't let us stay there. So we had to go back down the mountain, and it was like pitch black, overcast. We were like 200-foot drop-offs, like right next to with no guardrail.
Yeah.
And the ranger had tried to tell us where to go. We finally we saw an opening that we knew wasn't like a cliff that we were going to fall off of. And so we pull in and this gravel lot and pull off and set up camp. And then the next morning, knock, knock, knock again on the door. We're in some warehouse's parking lot, and the parking lot is full of like employed cars.
You're like, sorry, we were just trying not to die
Right. So,
over a cliff.
but yeah, so stuff like that. It was like a weekly occurrence, just like random stuff. But Vermont was incredibly beautiful, and then you could almost feel the energy change when you go from Vermont to New Hampshire. Like somebody puts on the bow tie a little bit tighter.
Yeah. You're like,
but equally as beautiful. But that's we were out traveling in an RV and stuff. But we went to Hotel Mount Washington, which I think is now an Omni Hotel or something like that.
Okay.
But Lowe's property, whatever. But we could do a spa days. So we would just like, we came out of our camper and go and we'd like hang out in the spa for 10 hours. It's like, I think we did that for like 3 days in a row. And then they're like, how long are you guys going to stay? I don't know. I thought we lived here.
till we're done. Exactly. Okay. So personally, what were you, so you start out on this adventure thinking you have 6 months, and then are you really wrestling with kind of existential questions the whole time, or were you just kind of free of it, or then you pass the 6 month mark, you're out there for a year, then you're out there for 2 years? Like, what's that like heart journey?
Yeah. So going, first of all, I had a really good checkup before we started, like an amazingly good checkup where 4 months prior to that, they had given me the 6 months to live, and I came back 4 months later, and almost all the cancer was gone without doing anything, and just like a little bit in there. And they said, whatever you're doing, just keep on doing it. And
Interesting.
And we went out, and it took about 5 solid weeks before your mind was trained, where you realize that there's nothing. There's not a schedule. There's nothing to do today. The only thing you have to do is be present and enjoy today. And after that was clear, it just became easy. Like there wasn't really, I mean, if it was rain, we would just keep driving. If it was a place we wanted to stay, we would just stay. If it was wanted to sleep in. If you wanted to wake up with the birds and have morning coffee, and watch the sunrise, you do that. And just being present and being with someone you cared about was really cool. And it was for sure a life-changing experience, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. If there was anything in my entire life that changed who I am today, it would be that experience of going through the cancer and not having the unknownness, and not knowing that next month is guaranteed or anything, but know that you're healthy and have the gift of the present in that day, and just absorb and take it all in. And I still operate like that most of the time. I mean. In Miami, you can get drug in pretty easily, and stuff like that. Yep. But even at times, like, I mean, going to a crazy club where they're shooting fire extinguishers and confetti, and beautiful women are dancing in sequence dresses. That's being present for that is pretty amazing. Also, it's like the experience of the day or the life is yeah, it's
But it's pretty special that you gave yourself a moment and a reference point that you
Yeah.
you kind of carry that inside you forever.
for sure.
You know,
Forever.
that this like that feeling of, okay, I know what it feels like to be kind of driven and have this agenda and have things to do and have, live in the future and whatever.
Right.
But I know that if you wait long enough, that could wear away. And
Right.
now all I have is just what am I going to do today, and how am I just going to be here?
Right.
And then carrying that with you every day since
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
special. That's a gift.
Yeah. And it's a gift knowing that all the material possessions can go away.
Sure. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and it doesn't make any difference. I'm certainly not any happier today than I was then. I'm certainly less free than when I was then. And other than gas, because we were off grid, other than gas
Right.
and food, we didn't really have many expenses other than spa days.
Yeah.
So, you know,
The essential spa day.
right? Which they became essential spa days.
Yeah,
we would
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
look. We would kind of look for it,
Yeah.
we would look for that almost in every state we'd go to, and you could go into, Telluride, Colorado, and get a spa day, or Sun Valley, Idaho, or there were amazing spas all over, hot springs.
Oh,
places
yeah.
like that. So
The best.
yeah.
So did you ever go to Texas? Did you go through Texas?
We didn't go through Texas on this trip. I've been to places in Texas and
okay.
camped in Texas, but we didn't go through Texas, and we kind of about a year into it, we hit Southern California, and it was kind of winter a lot of other places,
Yeah.
but we were in Joshua Tree
Beautiful.
and then Palm Springs, Palm Desert.
Yep.
So it was great for our solar.
Yeah.
And so we would just base out of Joshua Tree,
Okay.
and just mostly hang out in Joshua Tree. We kind of became part of the community there of Yucca Valley and Joshua
Nice.
Tree, and there was a amazing open mic singer songwriter, and they would have that LA influence. So people traveling through to LA would stop there, and some of the best musical talent that I've ever heard has been in these little, cafe
Incredible.
bars and stuff like that, and then we would just do loops out of there. So Texas was a little bit far. We'd go into Arizona and go places, but usually we would just do week trips. We'd spend a lot of time in Sedona and Arizona and places like that, but we would always kind of circle back to Joshua Tree as our home base for that next year.
Sure.
So
And then how did people, so, you obviously personally went through a major change as you're, I'm sure that there was so much that you probably can't even put into words
right.
for you personally. But then do you find, because you have children,
Right.
did you keep in touch with them through the whole
Yeah.
thing and they were supportive, or did they find that you were different dad when you came out? Did you have a
think
different experience relationship with them after?
they were supportive of the journey. They knew that I had cancer the year before and had 4 surgeries the year before, and was recovering. They know now, but at the time I didn't tell them that I had 6 months to live, because I wasn't ready to accept that either.
Sure. Yep,
So
yep.
so I wasn't going to put that energy
Broadcast
out there
that.
or
Yep.
give them the something to worry about that I didn't feel I was ready to accept.
Yeah.
And so I did communicate with them off like weekly, several times a week, and then I have my flight privileges as a airline pilot.
Oh, yeah.
So I would fly out to I would fly home at least once a month. I would fly
how
home for at
nice.
least 4 or 5 days every month,
Sure.
and spend some time with them. Usually stay with some friends, and when we were in some place that I thought they would really enjoy, like California and Colorado and different places, then either 1, 2, 3, or 4 of them would fly out, you know, when all 4 of them would fly out, and we had, 19-foot trailer trailer. We had a pop-up tent that we would pop up and, you know, I would always volunteer.
So they were part of it. In some ways, they were part of your experience.
Yeah, yeah. They didn't like to hike as much as I did, but some of them caught the bug a little bit and enjoy it. But for their age, they were teenagers at the time. And
sure.
Their biggest worry was being away from a Wi-Fi signal.
Of course.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It was like, look, the Grand Canyon. That's great.
That's great, but can I get a signal? Because I need to post this.
Yeah, right. So, and honestly, they were not ever off grid long enough to like break free of that. So, I mean, it's just part of that.
Yeah, something that you'll have forever.
Forever. Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah. And so the podcast, I don't know if this might be episode 1 of the podcast that I just put out there.
It's a little summary. Yeah, it's like a little summary overview of what's to come.
Yeah.
Because so you're planning in your podcast in the future moving forward to talk about, you know, would one episode be one place, or are you how are you going to kind of categorize that?
Start off, I'll go first episode, go into a little bit more detail of the feelings of the cancer and kind of get into what drove me. And at that same time, I was not only just going through cancer, I was going through a divorce and bankruptcy, and it was just a really low point in my life where I donated 100% of all my possessions. I had 0 possessions other than 2 suitcases, 14 changes of clothes, and the RV. And that was it. In a large part, it was something that I was called to almost.
Yeah.
You know?
It was almost like a reset.
Yeah.
Like someone else hit that reset button for you.
Right. And probably saved my life.
And probably saved your life.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so part of that, another part that I haven't even got into is during that, I would go to different spiritual centers and coordinate ahead of time and talk for 10 minutes about my experience and bring it in to give some substance of what was going through my mind and some feelings. This is the adventure. This is the route. This is where we saw, and then highlight that with some different photos and pictures and then link to some of the original videos underneath that.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. And then just go through, have guests, have people that come on, and hopefully it kind of explodes to the point where then it's just a continuation and it becomes like a show, you know, where you know, and people come on and we talk about this and maybe we relate it to the outdoors, maybe relate it to something, or maybe the audience and their comments guides what is next and stuff
what
like that.
they want to see next.
But just leave it open-ended. And
how does it feel now that so I guess, how did you make your home in Miami, and how does it feel now to have roots? I mean, you had roots for sure in Ohio, probably for most of your life.
Exactly.
But then you
Yeah.
Then you just pulled up and just went, let's try something else. And now you're back to this. So how did you get here? And then how does it feel now?
So in that second year, I kind of separated from my girlfriend at the time. And we were trying to figure out what we were going to do. So she was going to stay in the RV, which she did for a while. Yeah. And I was feeling really healthy, and I felt like I was going back. I would go back to flying for the same company.
Oh, great.
And so I didn't want to go right from. I had been off at that time for about 4 years, and didn't want to go right from the left seat of an RV to the left seat of an airplane. And go through all that training, because it is pretty rigorous training. So Miami has the North American training centers for lots of different aircraft. And so Boeing is here, Airbus is here. I flew Airbus. And so I applied and got a job to be an instructor for the manufacturer Airbus and train pilots from all over the world.
Super cool.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
yeah. But before I took it, I had all my daughters, and I sat down and I said, I have the opportunity to take a job down in Miami, they said, do that. They didn't care what it was.
Or do
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Don't even tell us the or.
right. So, yeah. So my two younger
Love
daughters
it.
came down with me, and they picked up this place. And
That is so special.
yeah, and when they come down now, they come down for days or weeks or months at a time, and we have really great quality time together.
We're on your half-hour mark.
Half-hour mark. So I'll leave the rest for a different time.
For episode 2
for
or
episode two or
wherever this
one-
may land.
Yeah,
Exactly.
But this was good.
This
was
was
a good start.
fascinating.
Yeah.
It's a really beautiful story.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
really, I think it gives people, I hope it would make them think outside the box a little bit.
Yeah.
That you don't have to be at a super low point of life and then just
Right.
close your bedroom door and never get out of bed.
Right.
You can be at a super low point of life and say, what next? Or how
Right.
can I just really live to the max
Right.
with whatever I think I have left?
Yeah.
And then it gets extended, and that's kind of an extra gift,
Right.
you know?
Right.
It's really interesting.
Yeah,
there's
for sure.
life after divorce. There's life after
Anything.
all of the stuff of life. It's
Right.
like you can start
Turn the
again.
page.
You can turn the page.
Right.
And it's a really, I think we
Yeah.
spend our whole lives kind of in fear of, what happens if I lose everything that I've built.
Right.
And then when I think there are a few people who get to that place of
Right.
losing it and then going, oh, it's different than I thought. It's less
Right.
scary than I thought. It's more freeing than I thought.
Right. Exactly.
And it just gives you a completely different perspective going forward.
Absolutely.
And what a gift.
What a gift.
What a
And
gift.
the gift of turning the page is you realize that page is blank and you have the pencil,
Yeah.
you know?
What
And
do I
it's-
want to write?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Or draw, or
Exactly.
what is it going to
Yeah.
be?
Yeah. And so far I haven't found any limits. It's been pretty nice.
Keep testing.
Yeah, exactly. You don't know where the edge of the matrix is until you
That's right.
But yeah, it's been great.
Oh, a great life.
Yeah,
Really. And what
Well,
an
cheers.
adventure.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you for interviewing, Amber. So
Beautiful.